Well, let's talk about something which pretty much dominated, certainly our programme last year, and that was the unprofitability, really, of one particular area of farming, the dairy crisis. Now, this time last year, we were joined by farmer Rich Cornock, and he was already worried then.
I think we're looking at a milk price for us of about 26.5p in January. It's where it goes from there, really, because we're just holding our own on that, but if it goes down any more than that, it's going to make it a real problem. And, you know, there is talk of an uplift maybe later in the year, but is that definite? Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, we asked him how he's getting on now, and he sent us this update from the farm.
So actually low milk price is now having a big impact, not just on the farms involved, but also those people connected with the industries around it, such as machinery suppliers and relief milkers. Perhaps more worrying, though, is the effect that this low milk price is having on the mental health of farmers and their families as they struggle to cope with this difficult situation. Going forward, I can only hope that the milk price improves in 2016 and the British public continues to show their support for British farmers by buying quality farm-assured produce.
Well, we had protests here and across Europe. We had an emergency package of help from Europe. MPs held inquiries into what supermarkets were doing. A lot of talking, but will anything change? And what are the prospects for the dairy industry then in 2016? Sean Rickard.
Well, I think prices will eventually recover, but unfortunately, this is a year of chronic oversupply, not just here, but around the world. And the reality is, it's only going to be solved as farmers around the world leave the industry. Whether they'll go quickly or not, or whether they'll hang out, is a matter for judgment. But what I do regret, really, is that we talk constantly about what we've got to do is we've got to blame the supermarkets, we've got to blame someone else, it's the government, no one's helping us or whatever. The real truth is that farmers have got to recognise the solution is in their own hands. And for many farmers, the best solution is to think about leaving the industry to those who can adjust and adapt to the new reality.
So if you can't make money, just get out. Myrick Raymond.
Well, it's not quite as simple as that because, again, there's been a huge investment, particularly by young people, into the dairy industry over the last number of years. And there has to be a recognition right along that supply chain, and I'm not going to be blaming supermarkets, but a recognition of what cost of production of that litre of milk actually is, because security of supply is going to be an issue. We in the UK are not self-sufficient in dairy and dairy products. So again, unless we get an uplift in price, then there will be a lot of people, I fear, will leave the industry, and it will be the wrong sort of people. So again, it's going to be a difficult few months ahead, but who knows, maybe relationships with Russia may improve, which means there'll be an opportunity to export product back into that part of the world. But we did see a big downturn in demand. There is no doubt that that demand will come back. I just hope it comes back soon enough for the benefit of our dairy farms.
Just to be fair, I think we should point out that actually dairy farmers who are supplying directly to supermarkets are doing the best. They are on very good contracts. So when you say the wrong people will leave the industry, Myrick Raymond, who do you mean?
Well, there's been a huge investment. When I travel around the country, there's a lot of younger farmers who are invested quite heavily into modern buildings, investing in new milking parlours over the last number of years, and these are the people now that have been caught with low milk prices, with huge investments that need repaying. And when you're losing money on fairly sort of large units, then these people will question whether they stay in the industry in the years to come.
Patrick Holden, you're a dairy farmer. How do you regard this year?
Well, I think we are witnessing the consequences of an approach to dairy farming which has been based on industrialising production and globalising the markets, and it's resulted in the virtual demise of the UK family dairy farm. I think it's a terrible tragedy. We're destroying social and cultural capital, and it'll be very difficult to put it back. However, I think there are some rays of hope on the horizon, partly. For instance, the organic dairy price has held up against all this. I mean, organic dairy farmers are currently receiving between 38 and 40 pence per litre for their milk. And secondly, those farmers who are adding value on the farm, as we are, with only 80 cows, have managed to develop a strategy for survival, if not profitability. And I think there's a chance to build on that. Plus, as Myrick mentioned, the millennials, I mean, the young people who are interested in coming into dairy, this is really exciting. There are a new generation of people now who see things in a different way, who want to get a foothold in agriculture and don't want to join the rat race that we're witnessing.
You say you're adding value. What you're doing is that you're making your milk into cheese, and a fairly niche artisan, if you like, product. Not everyone can do that.
That's right, and that one of the reasons why our cheese is a lot more expensive and unfortunately therefore confines itself to a niche market is because the external costs, the damage to the environment and public health from the intensive farming system are not charged to those who cause that damage. And I'm not talking necessarily about the farmers, it could be the fertiliser manufacturers and others. And if those costs were properly attributed, it would dramatically reduce the price differential between sustainably produced food and its industrial counterpart. That's one of the things we need to build in 2016, to build a better business case to farm in a sustainable way. And I believe that's going to happen after Paris.
You mentioned millennials. Millie Fife, that's you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm involved with the Tesco Future Farmers Foundation, and there are several young dairy farmers there who are really hungry to get more involved within the industry as dairy farmers. A lot of them are adding value or diversifying to be able to obviously make profit in milk. They recognise, they have these issues. They want to succeed. They want to see a profitable dairy industry and have an appetite to try and grow their business. Sadly, there are lots of challenges, but there are also lots of opportunities. And I think, having a strategy for survival, as was mentioned before, is something that, if you can do something else as well as producing milk or adding value to that milk, I think, long term, we should hopefully see a more profitable industry.
You're listening to Farming Today this week here on BBC Radio 4.